Listen, every day at around 2:30, my armpits get sweaty.
Okay.
And I used to hate raising my hand in class to answer a question. But one day I had to say, who cares? I have swampy armpits, and I'm going to answer all the questions I want. I'm swampy and I'm proud.
Tina, where are you going with this?
I'm saying just because you think something is embarrassing doesn't mean you have to be embarrassed by it. We all have our swampy pits. My swampy pits is swampy pits.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried Dad's deodorant? It's like military grade.
He gets it on the dark web.
TBTL.
I'm a man of few words, but those words will count, and so will my actions.
You, are definitely, you're the real thing that a lot of people say. So do you think if you weren't, if you were less fake, do you think you would be, or you could, or you have a desire to?
If you feel uncomfortable at any time, give me the sign.
I keep losing at deals, and I don't want to make a deal anymore.
All you have to do is study it out. Just study it out, and you'll see. You haven't done your homework, buddy.
Faith, you know what time it is? It's time to get real.
Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Wednesday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Oh my God, guys, we are crushing it.
My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
If you got cute hair, I'm going to say, damn, girl, you got some cute hair.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where we're looking at another rainy day.
Didn't know you like to get wet, though.
I am reminded of the fact that it does usually seem to rain about up until and just through the 4th of July. I remember as a kid being very disappointed in that because I wanted to light off fireworks. Now I am an older fella with two standard poodles living with me, and they don't like the fireworks. And so I'm just fine with it being rainy right now. I'm just fine with tamping down and dampening the fireworks enthusiasm. Speaking of, the dogs actually, their last day out here at the Madrona Hill studio.
As Florence Machine says, the dog days are over.
Gigi and DJ are going to be heading back down to Portland later today when I take them down there. And if nothing else, it's been a lot of good content for the program. So, gosh, I don't know what we're going to do. At least we've gotten them around for one more episode, as we've made it to episode 4,761 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
Yesterday at about this time, I activated this audio drop.
I'd like to point out to anybody watching, this is really bunk journalism.
And it was in relation to this story that came from NPR about how they had published an incorrect article on their website about Samuel Alito retiring. Would that he was. But in fact, it was I, the bunk journalist, all along. I was doing the bunk journalism, and I did not even realize it.
I'd like to point out to anybody watching, this is really bunk journalism.
So much like NPR, I will correct the record today on the program. Also, Seattle has achieved a high and important culinary title.
This is special. This is special.
They were picked by the New York Times Wirecutters having the very best something. I don't mean to hide the pickle on you there, but I just got to keep you listening and sticking around a little later in the show, at least until the point where I've introduced this guy, longest-running Cobro of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. Is he blowing up on Blue Sky? Absolutely.
I've got a pretty strong following on social media. Why don't I put out a blast?
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. Now, listen, there was a little audio mistake at the beginning of today's show. Instead of, you didn't know it, you couldn't hear it on your end.
Okay.
But when you said hello, the first part of that was muted. It just sounded like, hello, everybody, instead of hello. Hello. Oh, everybody is what it's. Oh, everybody. And listen, I know you're thinking.
Kind of was it a Guffmaning?
Uh-oh. Ow-ar-oo.
You're gonna. I'm having a hard time finding that.
I thought you were finding it. I was trying to give you space for that.
Thank you. I know. I mean, how many different ways are there to spell L-O?
Ow-ar-oo. Do I have it in mind? Then I'd have to stop the music.
Oh, here we go.
Hello, ow-ar-oo.
There it is. Worth it.
That's how I spelled it. E-L-L-O.
Good.
Capital O, lowercase W, uppercase A, R-E, double O. Why wouldn't I be able to find that on the fly?
Yeah, right?
Hello, ow-ar-oo.
I think we were playing that a lot when that social media platform Ello started way back.
Well,
when
that was
in Los
also
Angeles.
that one, and then the something from Labyrinth, right?
Yes. Did you say hello? No, I said hello, but it's close enough.
Yes.
That's my imitation of a British caterpillar, I believe.
Wait a second. Okay.
Do you have it?
Well,
I think
Andrew,
I might only have that one.
I have it here, but listen, I have something called Ello Labyrinth Clips.
Okay, good.
but it's 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and the artist is a band that I like called Avi Buffalo.
That's not right.
That can't be the file.
No, something
I do
went
have
wrong
this
there.
one.
Hello?
Oh, that's
classic
pretty good.
Stephen A. Smith.
Who is that really?
No, it's Herm Edwards.
Is that Herm Edwards again?
Yeah, it's Herm Edwards.
Anyway, all I wanted to do was apologize for the mistake at the beginning of the show, but also not take full responsibility. It actually was not my fault. It was Maggie and Swarthmore's fault.
Okay, because she's got you all hopped up on Fig Newtons?
Because I did not have breakfast today, and so I grabbed a little Figgy Newton on the way down here, and then I don't know if you noticed, but I turned my camera off while you were doing your intro so I could wharf these things. Yeah, I figured you wouldn't notice. I didn't want to distract you, but I didn't want to be recorded eating these Fig Newtons as quickly as I possibly could, and I was so dedicated to finishing them before it was my turn to talk that I momentarily forgot to unmute you. So, yes, partially my fault, but mostly Maggie's fault. Would not have happened if Maggie didn't give me a truckload of Fig Newtons.
You know, there are some shows that have a strict no eating food that people mail us policy.
You mean
we're not one of them
out of safety concerns?
Yeah,
or
I mean, again, our listeners we know them almost.
I mean,
down to a person, and these were sealed. And again, our listeners are the absolute kindest, sweetest, most threatening, non-harmful people. But it is kind of funny to think that you mail it to us, we'll probably eat it.
Yeah. Well, it also, I mean, not that I wouldn't trust Maggie anyway, but these were sealed within seals within seals. You know, it was a box that contained boxes that contained individual packages. I don't know, maybe the last one's got a surprise in there for me, but I think I'm in pretty good hands. I don't know what you just said that made me think of this, but everybody, and I'm a little bit late to this game, I realized this about a month or two ago, everybody was asking, are you watching the new Apple TV show? I want to say Widow's Bay.
Yes, Widow's Bay.
Widow's
with
Bay.
Our pal
Yeah.
Jeff Hiller in it.
Yes, and have you been watching it? Because I'm about 4 episodes in now, and I am enjoying it.
I have been meaning to. I know it's Stephen King, correct?
Oh, it is? Oh, I don't think I realized that. I
could be wrong about that. Don't quote me.
Okay, I don't know. I don't remember seeing that name in any of the credits or anything.
That would maybe indicate it's not a Stephen King.
Well, it also indicate that I'm not a very observant viewer, but it might be inspired by it.
Not directly written or created by Stephen King.
Okay, is it indirectly
according to the
written?
AI overview?
Yeah. You know what it feels like? The first episode feels like. It sort of feels like Jaws meets The Shining, sort of. It takes place on a very small New England island, remote island where scary things happen. And the thing is, I'm not into scary stuff, but it's the perfect balance of I did not know it was going to be funny. And it's Matthew Reese, who I know from The Americans. I love him too. And Stephen Root, by the way, who's just if Stephen Root's in it, it's good. I can't. Didn't we just say this the other day? Can you think of anything that Stephen Root is in that is not worth watching? I mean, maybe there's some stuff out there, but yeah, I mean, incredible
news
range.
radio. You forget he was Milton in Office Space.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
I mean, the guy's got range.
He really does. And then some other folks whose names I don't know, who are also really good. And it's just the first episode, you're laughing, but then also there are plenty of parts where the hair on your arms is just standing straight up because it gives you the real creeps. And I'm just really enjoying it. And everybody said, you got to watch this thing. And I was like, well, I don't watch a lot of TV. And when I do, I want to finish up this other series. I was trying to rewatch the show Legion, but Legion takes so much of your attention. You cannot do anything but really focus and sometimes rewind Legion to figure out what did I just miss here? Whose memory palace are we in? What is going on? And I love it. It's really well done and incredibly stylized.
Oh, right. That's the one where they're in the swimming pool. That's the guy.
There's a swimming pool scene.
There's a swimming pool scene. Yeah, and it's starring. I watched that too. It's starring Matthew from Downton Abbey.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forget that. Yeah. You couldn't have watched the whole thing, though. I
must have watched the first season.
Yeah. So anyway,
DJ
never
says I watched the whole
that.
thing.
I know. I can't believe I told you yesterday, no more dogs barking.
Somebody
in the
told me,
studio.
by the way, that when I play that dog barking sound effect, it makes their dogs, if they're playing the show, they're amplifying the show in their house, it makes their dog freak out. So I'm trying not to play that.
Oh, that's a real thing. Our friend's dog can't even if a doorbell rings or a dog barks on a commercial, she goes bananas.
I was noticing that with these two, if I'm watching something on TV and there's the sound effect of a dog in the background. Sometimes you don't even realize it. They're just trying to do the kind of, the sonic, I don't know, environment of the whatever commercial, and they pick that stuff up. I mean, they are very, very. But no, I've been meaning to watch Widow's Bay. I don't have Apple TV, so it's just one of those things where I'm going to have to sign up for it again and then watch it and then try to remember to cancel it or what have you. But people have been telling me about it.
You got anything I want? You want to do a little trade on the air here? You want to do a little tradio? What are you packing over there as far as television packages are concerned?
My friend, heat. Because unfortunately, I've been signing up for lots of these things and forgetting to dump them. So I think I definitely got the home box office.
Yeah,
I've got the Netflix. I've got, I guess you could say, ironically, I refuse to get Paramount Plus, even though I work there.
Oh, okay. We got that, but that's kind of another sharing
decision.
Situation with some other family.
But the other night, I was actually sitting down I was contemplating watching Widow's Bay, but again, the barrier to entry of signing up for another streaming service stopped me. But I mentioned this in passing. I ended up watching, I thought that it was, and excuse me, I'm going to sneeze here, but.
Oh, they're going to swear.
A long time ago, we decided that we were going to leave the sneezes in, and then I started muting myself, and I think there was a couple freaks out there that were like, leave the sneezes in.
And take your shoes off and keep them on the can.
You're welcome. You're welcome, freaks. So what it was this show called, or it's a documentary, and I thought it was just, it said it was a series, but I didn't believe it for some reason because I thought this can't be 4+ hours. It's about this guy who's a rock climber and a base jumper and a highline walker named Dean Potter. And before Alex Honnold came around, who got famous for that movie Free Solo and is like a phenomenal climber, this guy was one of the kind of most celebrated and daredevil adventurous folks who would get out there and just climb all these routes that had never been climbed before and do these things that were very, very scary, like walk on these tight ropes without a tether and stuff. But he also had a lot of kind of personal problems. It said episode 1, but episode 1 was like an hour and 20 minutes. I was like, that's enough for this guy. That's as much, Free Solo about Alex Honnold was an hour long or something, an hour and a half. So I just thought HBO had like mislabeled it or something. So I watched the first episode, and I'm like, well, this is a good movie. And it ends, it goes, do you want to watch episode 2? I was like, gosh, dang it. So I go from like thinking I was like committing to an hour of television to end up watching like 4.5 hours of this. Meanwhile, it was actually quite fascinating.
Really? How does it separate itself from the things? Now, keep in mind, I have a distaste for both this activity and this activity being sort of celebrated and this activity being sort of documented. Like, because it gives me the bad feeling. I'm afraid of heights. I also think it's kind of irresponsible to put your life at risk like that just so that you can get your kicks. And I think it's irresponsible to the other people in your life personally. Like, I just have kind of like weird, strong feelings about that. So I know it wouldn't be for me, but I watched part of Free Solo, I believe. Like, how is this different? How does it set itself apart, and why 4 hours instead of like a movie?
Why 4 hours? I'm not exactly sure, although this guy had sort of phases to his thing. He started out as this rock climber, and then I think as that became more difficult, as he got a little older, he got into base jumping and became this very, very like sort of experienced and adventurous base jumper. And then he also got really into walking this tightrope thing called a high line that they'd string between, across like not quite the Grand Canyon, but basically these very high points. Just imagine a tightrope essentially. And so there were the different phases of what he sort of did. He was also very troubled. Alex Honnold was not troubled. What was really interesting was first like 2 or 3 episodes, it's all about this dude, Dean Potter, and he's battling his demons, but he's also doing all these amazing climbs, and he's planning these other climbs. And then this kid just shows up in a van, Alex Honnold, and just goes, yeah, I think I'll just do that, and just does all of his routes faster. And doesn't even understand that why this ticks the guy off. And then the guy has this big plan to free solo the face of El Capitan in Yosemite, which at that point had never been done. But it's really hard, and free soloing means he's not going to have a rope. And so he has come up with this very tortured route where he goes up the way, way, way side of it. That's a little easier. And then he walks through this kind of crevice in the rock, and then he meets up with the last leg of it would kind of be this part that he'd already done once that he knew how to do. So he was kind of piecing it together. And this guy, Alex Honnold, and by the way, I don't even know till the end. I'm pretty sure the guy is dead, Dean Potter, but I didn't want to gorgle it because I didn't want to like skip to the end and learn the manner of his death. But I had a sense because he's not in the movie and everyone's kind of talking about him like he's not there, but I don't actually know for a fact that that's how the movie ends. So Alex Honnold gets on there, and he's just absolutely roasting this dude.
Really?
He's just, yeah. He's like, that wasn't even hard what he did. It was so easy. And like, I think Alex Honnold may have identified as being on the spectrum himself, and I believe, is kind of known for his blunt talk. But you rarely see in a documentary, which is kind of a celebration in a way of this one dude, this Dean Potter guy, then the guy who just came in. So what Alex Honnold does is he hears that this Dean Potter guy is going to try to do this funky route of climbing this thing and da-da-da. And he's like, dude, that's so lame. He goes, they're going to think that you really did this. Like you climbed El Capitan and you kind of didn't. You kind of did this cheat thing. So he just goes out there one day and just climbs it that way.
And this is Honnold who's sort of owning him. Yeah.
Just so the other guy can't do it. He's just like on an afternoon decides to just go and climb the thing to just screw the other guy out. The other guy's been planning it for like months. He's got his whole thing. And Honnold just goes like, that's dumb. I don't think anyone should climb it that way. And so you won't climb it that way. I'll just go do it first. And there will be no draw for you to try to do it yourself.
And that's where Honnold's documentary Free Solo comes out. Or is this all is Honnold famous?
Free Solo.
Okay. And so,
in fact,
Free Solo isn't about El Capitan?
It is, but it's him doing what was thought to be impossible route straight up the thing.
Okay, later.
With no ropes.
This.
Later.
Okay,
I think this guy's been dead for a couple of years by the time Alex Honnold does Free Solo. But you just rarely see, and again, towards the end of the movie and the end of this Dean Potter guy's life, he and Alex Honnold have kind of a nice dinner together and like beef squashed. But you just rarely see somebody who's like, in a documentary, people are just usually more diplomatic about things. And Alex Honnold is so undiplomatic. He's just like, he goes, I just didn't. Oh, so one of the things this Dean Potter guy pioneered was something he called free basing. Now, not in the way that we've heard free basing before, but
I believe Richard Pryor actually.
He actually did.
That.
He climbed with Richard Pryor often. But he would climb up these like without any ropes, not any safety ropes. He would climb up these like really high, really scary routes. But if at some point he fell off of the rock, he had a parachute on his back. And as long as he was high enough up, he could base jump away from the wall and throw out his parachute and potentially survive. It's actually less of a slam dunk than you would think. Yeah. Like it's not that base jumping thing I learned it ain't like jumping out of an airplane with a skydiving instructor. There's a bunch of ways you can die doing it, even if you have all the right equipment and everything. So, but anyway, he had this thing where he had this parachute on and he would climb and he was getting written about in the magazines. And then they cut to Alex Honnold. He goes, I guess that's a cute trick. I mean, if you really want to do it, just don't have a parachute.
And can I ask you a question?
So negging the guy at every turn.
And I realize that I'm getting into some tedium here, and I don't mean to be. And if the answers to these questions aren't interesting, honestly, just tell me and we'll move on.
Listen, I invested 4 hours of my life in this. I'm glad we're getting some use out of it.
All right, sounds good. Now you're going to write it off. Whatever platform this is, you can write that off. When Honnold is talking, and again, Honnold is the Free Solo guy. We already know his name. He's already a name that we know from Free Solo. When he's talking about these interactions that he's had with, what is this fella's name again?
Dean Potter.
When he's having these conversations with Dean, or is he in like 2025, 2026 talking to the camera, remembering these interactions he had with Dean, or are we seeing footage of him and Dean interacting back in the day before Free Solo even came out?
He is being interviewed after Dean Potter has been dead for a few years.
Okay.
And I believe maybe even Free Solo has been out.
Okay,
so Dean Potter is never going to hear any of this. But that's also interesting because he doesn't have any of that reverence, that sort of retroactive reverence sometimes we'll have for the dead.
Sure.
It's like he is, and again, he doesn't dislike the guy, but he just has no, like, this guy was so tortured, hence his name, the Dark Magician or whatever it was, which is pretty corny. But like, he would just agonize over these things, and he would come up with something, and he'd be so proud, and then Alex Honnold would be like, when I heard about that, I thought it was kind of dumb. Like, you got a parachute on, just do it without the parachute, man. Like, he's just saying this about a dead guy, which is, and then the part of the movie, and there were lots of parts of the movie, Andrew, where even I, and I'm probably less afraid of heights than you, where I was like puckering, watching various people out on these crazy rock faces without any kind of safety equipment. But towards the end of this guy's career and life, this is the guy Dean Potter, whose whole thing was like, I'm not in this for the money, and we're just, counterculture people. We live in Yosemite in our vans and whatever. It's about the climbing and stuff. Over time, he became more famous. He started to be on the cover of magazines, and he's kind of like he's drifting in his life. Eventually, he's getting older. He's in his 40s, and he gets paid $250,000 by a Chinese TV company to go to China and do his 3 kind of terrifying things he can do. So to rock climb something without his ropes, to base jump off of something, and to walk across this tightrope. And it's like any of those movies. It's like Spinal Tap. It's like any of the movies where the tour is breaking down, the people that are involved, or it's even like real kind of documentaries, rock documentaries, where it's just like the wheels are kind of coming off for this guy. He goes to China, and they're not giving him the money, and they want to put this big net underneath him when he's walking on this tightrope. But he thinks the net is going to look really dumb and everyone's going to laugh at him. So he's like, no net. But they're like, you have to have a net.
That's a good reason to put your life at risk.
And Andrew, as he is practicing, it's like 2 days before the tightrope walk, right? So they agree no net. And he's doing the tightrope practice. And for the practice, he has this little safety line on. It's called a leash. And it goes from his waist down to the tightrope. So if he falls off the tightrope, it catches him. He has never managed to get more than 3 steps out on the tightrope because he's kind of old. There's a million people there bothering him. He can't do any of his concentration. It's a weird place. It's just his energy is all messed up. And this is being televised live to, I want to say, it's a shocking number in China. They said it was 80 million people or something. Everyone in China is tuning in to watch this guy walk this tightrope with no tether and no net beneath it. And he has not been able to get more than 4 steps out. And you just watch him. And he's just got these Bose headphones on. Actually, the kind that I have that used to be real top of the line. And he's just mad at everyone. And he's screaming at his one friend he brought for not smuggling weed in his butt. He's like, where's the butt weed? And the guy goes, what are you talking about? He goes, didn't you bring weed in your butt?
So he needs
didn't?
weed to kind of do this, to kind of calm him down?
I don't know if it was always
bananas.
I don't know if it was always his system, but he was so struggling in that moment. I think he just was he just was like, anything. I'll take anything right now that might change this. So the day comes, the cameras turn on, it goes live. He is, he's 1,000 feet above the floor of the whatever you want to call it in this particular region of China, with this line strung between these big columns of these rocks. And he just steps out there and he starts walking across the thing. And he's almost falling the whole time. And he's somehow just not falling. And again, if he falls,
my hands are
in the middle,
sweating,
he will die. There's a much more likely than not chance that he will die in the middle of this thing. And he's just somehow putting one foot in front of the other, and then the next one, and then his whole body will jolt, and he'll go up on one foot, and one leg will careen out, and then he'll just kind of get it back down, and then he gets to the other side of the thing, and he jumps, and he lets out a triumphant yell for a second, and what he really does, he gets down on his knees, and he just weeps, and somebody said later in the movie, maybe his friend, it was like he willed himself across that tightrope, but something it literally permanently removed some part of him. Not to overstate it, but he traded some core part of his humanity to get across that tightrope. It was intense television.
I thought he was going to get to the end and take the last step and then step on a banana peel and just careen backwards.
That was when he did the same thing in England on the Benny Hill show.
You know what? I was watching this. I might have a new fetish, by the way. I might have a new TV-related fetish. A non-sexual fetish.
Is it hearing me sneeze?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
Let's see if I can monetize that. I need to get out of a couple of financial jams.
Here's what I was doing last night. I was feeling pretty good last. Genevieve and I had we had to record our podcast. We got off to kind of a bit of a late-ish start. So, and then I had some things to do after we got done recording, and take Lucy on a little walk and stuff. So, I think I was like slipping into Andy times around 8:30 or something like that. I got to hear the end of the Mariners game. In fact, the Mariners game picked up some speed right as I tuned in. So I may be a good luck charm of some sort. But
don't change anything today from. Well, actually, they're off today.
They're off today.
Thursday.
A weird broken up series because of the World Cup.
Wednesday off.
I hate that. But anyway, you know what I did? I got done. Oh, I think I had the Mariners game on the TV as I was sort of like kind of putting on some shorts and kind of slipping into Andy times, literally and figuratively. And I'm getting ready to play some darts. By the way, I dominated Dartbot last night. I think that like last night was like the first night after, a lot of anxiety about Monday's book event. And so and yesterday, I think I was just like, all right, I'm just doing it to it. And don't say no to anything.
The boys in the basement.
The boy in the basement, exactly. And actually, Lucy, we've been integrating her more and more in the basement. Like the basement is so.
Bingo a girl or a boy?
Bingo is a boy, so I guess it could be boys. Yeah,
I'm going with boys in the basement.
Yeah, and we have Lucy down here. She was going out to the streets, gonna make a big noise. And Lucy was kind of being more chill. She's getting more and more used to being down here, which means she's being a little bit more chill down here. So she was like kind of hanging out while I was playing darts. But the Mariners game ended, and usually I would switch over to podcast land at that point. But I was like, I don't know. Let's just see what's on YouTube. So, I thought maybe just visual spackle in the background while I'm listening to a podcast or something. But YouTube recommended the worst films of 1990 Siskel and Ebert special. So I didn't realize this, but Siskel and Ebert, I guess starting maybe in the late 80s through the late 90s, I guess, did like a special episode of their show each year that recapped the best movies of the year, and then another episode that would do the worst movies of the year. And this is just like without commercials. It's just like a 22-minute show or something like that. And so I started binging these like year-end recaps by Siskel and Ebert from back in the day. And I had it rigged so that like I was mostly just listening to it, almost like a podcast on my speaker in my dart room. The TV was like kind of
you're able to visualize them.
Yeah,
it's
and
a
also
fairly
like
static situation when they're sitting there in that mock theater.
Right. Well, they show a lot of clips from the movies, but it's also one of those things where it's kind of like, when I go to grab my darts from the board, I turn around, I can see what's going on the TV, throw some darts or whatever. But I kind of podcastified like ancient episodes of Siskel and Ebert, and it is my new favorite thing. Like here, I'm going to play a little bit. And by the way, one thing I learned is Gene Siskel is a little horny on Maine, by the way. There were a couple of different... he was complaining about one movie that was supposed to be sexy with like Mickey Rourke, and he's like, and the sex isn't even that good or whatever.
9.5 weeks?
No, it wasn't. It was some other one that you've never, or maybe you've heard of it. I had never heard of it. And then there was another one where he was like, well, I was excited. Oh, that's right. It was the bad movie. He's like, I was excited to see this. I'm a man with a libido. I was excited to see it, but the sex wasn't even good. Then there was another movie where he's like talking about how athletic the sex scenes were and something. I was
he's
like,
not
man,
bald. It's a solar power sex panel.
This is the end of a movie clip that they're showing.
We have the guns.
Oh, this is the George Romero remake of Night of the Living Dead, which I didn't even remember he had done. He had remade it in I think this is 1990, a colorized version of his own movie.
We could get away.
It almost seems to me that a remake is a no-win situation. If the original movie was any good at all, it has created associations and memories in our minds that will just get in the way of the remake. And I'd even get a little cynical and suggest that the best way to recycle old material is not to remake the film, but simply steal the idea and work it into your own movie. You could never remake Casablanca, for example. People wouldn't stand for that. But Sidney Pollack and Robert Redford did a fairly interesting job of redrafting some of that material into Havana.
I like that idea. If you're going to steal, at least hide your product in an interesting way.
The old Hollywood moguls used to say there were only 7 ideas for movies, but the problem is recently they've only been using 2 of them.
Zing! I am unironically absolutely loving this. Also, I'm hearing a lot of the inspiration for what is Tim Heidecker and Greg
on
Turkey
cinema.
On cinema. Yeah, like you really hear like where some of the tone of those early episodes sort of come from. I mean, obviously it's a parody of this kind of programming, but it's really good. So now I just kind of want to work my way through the 90s, I think, while I throw darts.
Siskel and Ebert, just the sound of the opening theme of that show.
Oh, you want to hear it?
It is such a strong sense memory for me.
I love it because they write for different newspapers. So the beginning is like you see them each like reading their own newspapers while
They're
trucks
rivals.
drive by with their faces on the outsides of the trucks. Let's see.
Yeah. Back when TV theme songs rocked, and men were men. Men like Gene Siskel.
They're playing this at the Great American State Fair in D.C. right now.
To two people.
Yes.
And the reason that it's such a strong sense memory is because it came on where I lived in Seattle. It came on Sunday afternoons.
Really? Oh.
For whatever reason, that's the time slot in Seattle. And of course, we didn't watch it at my house, but I would watch it at Peter Williams's house. And it would be this combo of like it'd be like Sunday afternoon at 4.
Really? It feels like, God, I don't know when it was on TV. I don't know that I was a regular observer of it, but it feels like it should definitely be like, I don't know,
Saturday night or something.
Friday or Saturday evening. Yeah.
And maybe I was catching a replay of it, or maybe it was on. I just have a very strong memory of it being Sunday and being like really stoked because I loved. Wasn't it called like At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert or whatever?
I thought it was just Siskel and Ebert. Let me double check. You're probably right.
I loved the show so much, but I also would always have this kind of like sad feeling of like it's Sunday at 4 o'clock, the Sunday Scaries before we called it that, and just like so it was this real combination of being like just really excited to watch it, but also this just kind of like, this sadness that it also meant that the weekend was pretty much over and real life was going to start up Monday morning.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, the title screen just says Siskel and Ebert in what I'm looking at, but it also might have been one of those things where it went through various versions of it. Because what you're saying also sort of makes sense to me as well. It would be like At the Movies or something. But I am really digging it. It's such a great way to like kind of get a little obviously I love nostalgia, but also to hear about these movies. Like, it's fun to hear about what the movies were thought of like in the moment
at the time with the benefit of history and hindsight. I agree. Like in fact, maybe when you burn through all of the the Razzies, I think that just, also listening to the ones where they're just reviewing movies they liked.
Yeah, from that week. Yeah, like, because it was a weekly show. I was, And then, by the way, I'm not just listening to the Razzies ones because that bums me out too much. Like, it went from one, what we'll call Razzie
someone
one.
Worked very hard on Rhinestone with Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton.
You know what I wanted to do here, and this could be a fun little... You were talking about how you were watching this on Sunday afternoons in Seattle. And that does sort of sound like probably the local station bought this and they maybe play it in a favorable time slot in the evening on Saturday and then replay it midday on Sunday, which is probably a bit of a wasteland for TV watching in the 90s anyway. But I was wondering, can we get our hands on Seattle TV listings? Give me a year. Like a month and a year. March what?
It would have been... this also is associated with the summer for me, so let's just go with July. And let's say 1987.
Yeah.
Probably. Let's say I'm probably like, that's 7 plus 4. Maybe 88. How about maybe 88?
Because, and I'm not trying to test your memory to see if you're necessarily right about that, but there is some account I used to follow. I think it was on Instagram. Maybe I still follow it on Blue Sky, but it's something about like retro television. They will just take a photo of the TV guide from some random, day or week in the 90s, and they'll just say, "What would you watch if these were your options on this day or night?" And I just love going through that. So
I would love that so much. I found something. First of all, just indulge me for a moment. This is Siskel and Ebert's review in 1982 of The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Oh, yes.
Parton as the madam leading her singing and dancing hookers in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
You're right, dude. Do we have to throw out the H word there, Gene?
Right.
One of 4 new films we'll be reviewing this week on Sneak Previews. Across the aisle from me, Roger Ebert.
Oh, I guess it was called Sneak Preview at some point,
Oh,
too.
okay. Is that what it's called
Previews
here? Okay.
In this version.
Film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And this is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
How can you screw up a movie version of a decent Broadway musical that stars 2 of the most likable performers on the American entertainment scene? That is the question posed by our next picture, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, the story of a pesky TV reporter's battle to dismantle the Chicken Ranch, a legendary Texas brothel that Dolly Parton operates as the madam and Burt Reynolds defends as the local sheriff. Parton's defense of her place of business comes in the form of a song.
Oh, geez. All right, whatever. It's too much setup. I mean, at the time, someone needed it, but we don't need. I set it up perfectly last week when we were talking about this. The other thing I was going to say on the subject of nostalgia TV, and I actually, you know what? I was going to send this to you the other day. Let me see if I can actually find it. I was, just bopping around. I can't remember if it was Instagram or TikTok, but it was somebody who's put up, I think it might have been Instagram. Somebody has put up old television from the 1980s from Seattle. And there was a show called Top Story, which was basically like a locally produced news magazine show that was hosted by, I think it was Lori Matsukawa and I forget the name of the guy, but they were two of the regular newscasters, but then like once a week they would do this big kind of, special half-hour show and take on a particular topic. And first of all, it was just like a nostalgia. It was like a powerful nostalgia drug for me because, between the graphics that they used and the theme song and the people who were hosting it and the reporter they tossed to, a woman named Linda Brill, it was just like all stuff that's just like so kind of memorable for me. But the story was about the teen dance ordinance in Seattle, which was, in the 1980s, there was a club that I used to go to as a kid called Scoochie's, and there was a couple of different clubs that were, all ages, which meant kids could go there, and they had some kind of police got called and whatever, so they basically said no more of this stuff, and it meant that the kids didn't have anywhere to go. So this is the crazy part. I'll play you a little.
It could make a good movie, couldn't it? And that's exactly what these Seattle high schools do.
So this is Linda Brill now, a reporter for, this is King 5 for Top Story.
This, yes.
Have you? And
I think I have, yeah.
So it's been set up by the anchors in the studio saying the teen dance ordinance says da-da-da. Linda Brill's now on the scene. She says it could make a great movie, which is exactly what these high schoolers are doing.
A movie about the fact they have nothing to do in Seattle.
And they're showing this
For their high school history project, these kids are making a music video about Seattle's youth with nothing to do.
The problem is that the teens don't have anywhere to go. So
they show this first kid, and I'm like, that kid looks really familiar. I know that kid, I think. His name's Paul. Okay, yeah, where do I recognize that kid
end up walking the streets at night. There's no place for them to...
And they cut to this kid. And I go, I really know that kid.
Pour their energy into, and they end up stealing the key of their dad's liquor cabinet and drinking.
His name is Cole. He's my neighbor who sucked.
What? Luke,
and
I
the
saw
other guy
this
is
video.
The other dude in the band. It's the two kids that become the band Sweetwater. It's Paul and Cole.
I thought you meant neighbor when you were growing up, not your neighbor when you were
who wouldn't cut his holly tree properly.
This is blowing my mind. This video must have just been making the rounds because I saw this sometime in the past, I don't know, months or something. And as soon as they said these people are making a music video based on, I was like, oh, I saw this vintage footage. That is crazy.
The first dude is the drummer in that horrible band, and the second dude is whatever he plays, but also plays the role of my former neighbor who sucked.
Oh my God!
This is them as high school juniors or seniors making this little movie.
Oh, and for people who don't know Sweetwater, this is one of their biggest hits.
Yeah. Oh boy, don't they wish? Don't they wish?
The funny thing is that you say Sweet. I don't. Well, let's not do it. But no. I don't think I know their music. Maybe. Do you think if I heard whatever their biggest hit was, I would recognize?
I don't think so. They were getting heat in Seattle at the time. I remember being in college, and actually the other guy in the band, Paul, was a big pickup basketball player, and so I would play basketball with him all the time at the UW. I don't even know if he went there, but he would just show up and play pickup basketball kind of on this outdoor court. And I remember hearing from someone that, he's in Sweetwater. And I was like, oh, my God. Because there was this period of time where there was, 50 bands in Seattle that were all getting attention from labels. And they were kind of Seattle was just popping off so much that if you had a semi-decent band with a semi-charismatic lead singer or whatever, you were getting some gigs. You might have been getting some kind of a record deal. And you were, you were sort of known around town, and they were definitely a band that was known around town, and the difference just was the Pearl Jams and the Nirvanas of the world and the Sounds Garden, they just all kind of, they caught a different, updraft.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember them being kind of, a thing in Seattle, definitely.
Would it be fun for you at all to go through some of these TV listings? Now, I was not able to find a Saturday or a Sunday listing, but what I found was somebody had listed the Seattle-Tacoma TV listings for Friday, July 31st, 1987. And I don't know if you can hear my brother printer down here printing
Hit
out.
me.
What I had to do was, for reference, because this is like posted to some sort of weird bulletin board. Where
This
it's kind of
is
hard
why
to say.
we have printers.
Yeah, look, I printed something out here. And
Love
so I'm
it.
going to start by telling you what the channels are, okay? So channel, and maybe, I don't know if you want to turn this into a bit of a quiz, but do you know what channel 2 would be?
Channel 2
You might not have
be-
gotten it down here.
Yeah, I think that was in Bellingham. Was that KVOS?
It says it's CBUT Vancouver.
Oh, CBUT. Oh, that was CBUT. Yeah, I didn't get that, but I had heard about it. CBUT.
It actually
out of Canada.
that's Vancouver. Yeah, that's why I assumed it was Vancouver in Canada.
Yeah.
Then you have Channel 4 is Como, Seattle.
Sure,
Channel 5
absolutely.
is King. Channel 7 is Cairo. That's ABC, NBC, CBS, respectively. Then
biggies.
Channel 9 is your PBS station, and then do you know like Channel 11 out of
Sure,
Tacoma?
of course. KCTS.
Oh, I have
Channel 11.
KSTW here.
Oh, KSTW. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
KSTW. Yeah, no, you're right. I
And
was
then
wrong.
Bellingham is listed as KVOS.
KVOS out of Bellingham, Channel 12.
Channel
No,
12, yep. And then 13 is another Tacoma station.
KCPQ.
There you go.
Which is now the Fox station.
Oh, it's funny. It's listed here as Newborn Fox. This is 1987, so it's like fresh Fox. And then Channel 22, independent station.
KTZZ.
Absolutely.
That's where you'd watch. That was the UHF station.
Oh, nice.
That
yeah.
was the closest the Burbanks got to cable. Was when they launched KTCZ back in the day. You could go to like 7-Eleven and you could get that UHF round antenna and put it on the back of your television and suddenly have more access to McHale's Navy than you ever thought possible.
Or wanted. You don't get the McHale's Navy that you want. You get the McHale's Navy you
It was just
deserve.
Gilligan's Island, McHale's Navy. What was the one that was about a Nazi prison camp? Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan's Heroes. That one always gave me the bad feeling, even as I don't know why some sort of
No matter how
television
funny
program
you tried
about-
to make the Nazis.
Yeah.
Still kind of scary.
Exactly. So anyway, I needed this list in front of me because now I'm going to scroll through the different day parts, and it's just listed by the channel number. So I'm trying to think. This is a Friday, so I think that do we want to go to afternoon programming? As a child, you'd probably be more dialed into maybe cartoons. I don't really know.
Probably the cartoons.
Okay.
By nighttime, I'm kissing girls. I'm
absolutely.
I'm being like a
1987.
really cool
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
87. Yeah.
Yeah, lock
I'm out on
up the
town.
daughters. Let's see, at 3 p.m.
Stray cat strut.
At 3 p.m. on, what did we say this was, August 31st, 1987? Something like that?
I'm betting you that there was some Donahue on one of those stations and some Oprah too, because you had the channels that were playing cartoons, which I loved, but then you had the channels that were playing the afternoon talk shows with the Chippendales on Donahue.
And this is July, actually we're going to get kind of closer. This is July 31st, 87. And so at 3 p.m. on Channel 4, which as we have already established is Como, you have Northwest Afternoon. Yes, and
absolutely.
they have a description here of what was on that particular episode. Michael, a male prostitute who has survived the streets of Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco, shares his account of, quote, life on the edge.
Do they also promote Cindy Reinhardt's soaps update?
Do they do that within the show, or is that a different channel?
That was that was the kind of anchor piece, the tent pole of Northwest Afternoon was a local show where they would do. I once went with my high school choir to promote Amal and the Night Visitors, which was our operetta that we were putting on. I played Amal, not to brag, and what they would do is
what's in the box?
Precisely, if they you could they were always needing to fill up the little live studio audience. So the deal was you'd come down with your, musical or whatever, you'd fill up the audience, and then in exchange, you'd get to say a little promotion for your thing. So coming back from a commercial break, and I remember I was devastated because they didn't let me do the little thing. They had Sarah Newton do it, which was actually smart. She did great. She was charismatic, attractive. It was a better call than having me do it. But I just thought, I don't know, I'm a mall. Do I get to back to yesterday's
Newton
conversation?
Talk on the show lately, man.
Yeah, right. If what's her name in Swarthmore sends you a Heather Newton,
Maggie.
we've got real problems. Maggie. But going back to yesterday and my oystertainment tendencies, I mean, this was just always in me. Was like, we're going to go down to Northwest Afternoon. were going to sit in the audience. I already knew from the teacher, Mrs. Peterson, she was our choir teacher, that we were going to get to record a little announcement about when and where the play was happening so people could come watch it. And I was hoping I was going to get to be that person.
Got your
I was
goggles
not,
on.
You know who the guest was? The special guest, noted psychic Jackie Stallone.
Oh, yeah,
that's right.
you told me this.
Sylvester Stallone's mother was the special guest. So half of the show would be some interview with whoever, and then the other half, or a significant portion, would be this woman named Cindy Reinhardt, who would do her soaps update. She would basically do the Cliff's Notes. She would do the AI overview of everything that happened on all the soap operas that day. So if you missed them, you didn't have to watch all of them. You could just watch Cindy. And what she said that I, to this day, thought was the funniest thing ever. She called all my children, all my kids. She was like, today on All My Kids.
That's great.
And she was just like, looking back on her, again, I don't know anything about her life. She was, again, a media legend in Seattle. But like, would not be shocked to find out that she warmed up with, I don't know, just the right half a glass of white wine before the show, like just a half a glass of Gallo and like 2 Virginia Slims outside the building. She just had that energy coming in.
Yeah.
And she was great. Anyway, yes, Northwest Afternoon obviously looms large in my brain.
So that was Channel 4. This is still the 3 p.m. time slot. On Channel 5, you have Hollywood Squares syndicated.
Oh.
Channel 7, you have Magnum. Oh, we have a description of Magnum. Let's see
Magnum
here.
PI?
I guess so. They have a note here. Was this the syndicated title? ? So whoever, I'm not seeing source material. I'm seeing something that somebody has transcribed into text. And so the person who posted this was also confused by the fact that it was listed as Magnum. It says a woman's, Rebecca Holden's, psychic powers tell her that her soldier fiancé, missing in action for more than 8 years, is still alive. Channel 11.
Can you tell me about
had
Channel 11? Because that. Oh,
Transformers. Yep.
More than meets the eye.
And Channel 12 is She-Ra.
Oh, man.
And Channel 13 is Quincy M.E. Wasn't it? Is that Quincy?
That was Jack Klugman. And,
he was
a
doctor,
medical
though,
examiner.
right? Yeah.
He was a medical examiner. And it's funny because I bet you anything, that's the kind of show that you and Vives would absolutely love. And in fact, I would even probably kind of love it now. But as a kid, it's like when I was hungry for cartoon content, I'm hoping for some Heathcliff, No One Should.
Yeah.
And then it's just like Quincy.
Yeah.
It's like also, I'm probably older than Jack Klugman was in Quincy
That's
at the
a
time,
really
but
good
just,
point.
Just
I hate to
seemed
think
like
about
an
that.
elderly man, just, I don't know, running around, whatever it was. Was he in San Francisco? Or was that...
I never watched it. I don't know. I'm looking up the age thing here. It says Klugman was about 54, according to AI
so
overview.
not
if
too
that's
far
right.
off.
Yeah,
Not
no.
too far off.
Let's see
what
here.
about 13?
On Channel 13 was Quincy M.E.
Oh, that
Channel
was Quincy.
22 was Ghostbusters, and Channel 28, which that's PBS, right? Like, no offense, but
28, I don't know what that was. That's
Tacoma
up in
PBS, KTPS, and it was Cooking Now. Now, at 3:30,
How
you
about
had
Cooking
Card
Later?
Sharks with Bill Rafferty. I don't know if that was local or national. You had some Tom and Jerry on Channel 11, G.I. Joe on Channel 12, Flintstones on
American
22,
hero.
and Square One Television on 28. I believe that's PBS again. or
I
local
have,
PBS.
and I won't do it again here, but I have burned up so much time on this show telling you about the program called Square One. It was a math show, but it was so good. It would teach you math stuff. And because, we lived in a pretty strict home, there was a lot of stuff, even just cartoons that would be considered like fresh or not okay. Certainly no He-Man, nothing with any kind of like, wizardry or magic in it that was satanic. But we were allowed to watch a lot of PBS. And Square One, they had this Dragnet parody called MathNet.
Yes, we watched that on the show recently.
I loved as a kid. I just thought it was so great. And so, yeah, I loved Square One. I looked so forward to Square One when I was a kid.
Now that you say that, I do remember it. And I can't remember, did we play that clip on the show or did somebody send it afterwards? Because I remember watching it. It was like Dragnet, but it was a man and a woman. And they shared an office together. And they were like fighting over the space on their desks in the episode that I had.
But one of the things that I've always brought up when the subject of MathNet comes up was they would have to use math to solve things, to do their police job. And the thing I thought that was the most clever was there was a musician who was at the time, but I think he was supposed to be a Bruce Springsteen parody, but his name was Steve Stringbean.
Uh-huh.
So my memory of it is that this musician gets kidnapped. And the way that he figures out where they're taking him. He's in a van. He's in like a windowless van. Is that there is like a glass or a jar of celery juice. Maybe they think that like musicians drink like celery juice or something. Or there's a glass of something liquid that's in the kind of console of the van. And based on how that water is behaving, that is indicating the angle, if this makes any sense, that the van is driving. So somehow they solve the mystery of where he is, or he figures out where he is by using geometry, by using the geometry of this, my memory of it is celery juice. Although I could be conflating string bean and celery juice. But just like stuff like that, I just thought, this is so ingenious.
Would you like to know exactly which episode that was? That was Season 1 in 1987, Episode 3. The episode was called The Problem of the Passing Parade. Now, this is just MathNet, not Square One. So I don't know if
MathNet was folded into Square One.
Yeah, so this is Episode 3 of MathNet. I don't know how that fits into the chronology of Square One, but it says a parade was to be featured until the main attraction, Steve Stringbean, a parody of Bruce Springsteen, gets kidnapped. Stringbean tries to communicate the kidnapper's phone number to the Manhattaners. No, I'm sorry, the Mathneters in a short to the Mathneters in a short piece of music in a proof of life message left on an answering machine. He is later found in a musician's house.
That show, I'm to this day. I mean, if I watched it now, I would probably think it was pretty corny. But I got to give them props. Whoever was writing that show, between the comedy, which speaks for itself, and also again, your job is to somehow make this like funny, interesting show, but that also has its underlying math principles happening all the time. I think they did a very good job with it.
Which is why you're so good at math today.
Fortunately, there was no.
Are you necessary? I said that we never. You and I admit that we're bad with directions. Like if we're out on the road somewhere or whatever. But are you necessarily bad at math? I feel like as somebody who plays a lot of cards, you can't be terrible at math. You're doing a lot of some kind of math. Oh, 11-11. Get her.
I'm good at knowing when it's 11-11.
Yeah, that's numbers. That's numbers. But are you bad at math?
I'm pretty good at pattern recognition when it comes to numbers that are related to gambling.
That are related to instant gratification.
I mean, seriously, though, I can't do any sort of calculus or algebra at this point or any sort of complicated math, anything above just like simple multiplication and addition or whatever. But what I can do is if you were flipping over cards, if we were playing blackjack and you were flipping over cards really fast, my brain would automatically add their value up. Just because I have spent so many hours of my life looking at those cards that they're almost not even specific numbers anymore in a weird way. I just know what they add up to.
I love the idea of you spreading out some schematics for your construction in your house to your dad, and he's like, "Why does it say 10 minus ace here? What is that? What is that? What does that even mean?"
That'd be a 9, although the ace can be a 10.
That's right.
Ace can be 11 or it can be 1.
That is true. It gets confusing. 4 p.m. on July 31st, you had on Channel 2 The Facts of Life. On Channel 4, you have $1 million chance of a lifetime. Do you know what that is? I have no idea what that is. Channel 5, you have Donahue. Let's see here. 7 on Channel 7.
Show so much.
Ooh, you love People's Court too, right? Channel 7?
I loved, but if I was ranking my love, Donahue was my very favorite. I just was because that was in that time of the Satanic Panic and just they would just put any old shit on there.
Yeah.
And even just Donahue's whole weird, I don't know if you watched much of him when you were a kid, but his whole, I can't do a Donahue impression, but he used to just have this very kind of specific way of talking into the microphone, and then you're looking around and you go. He just had this whole shtick that I just just loved.
Yeah.
As a kid. Why that has me swearing, I don't know.
Well, you can't contain it. I love it. Channel 7 was People's Court. Channel 11 was Woody Woodpecker. Channel 12, Flintstones.
I always felt like the old cartoons were a letdown when there were new cartoons being made.
Right.
It felt like I was getting Value Village cartoons with Woody Woodpecker, whereas if I was getting, like I said, Heathcliff or Transformers or G.I. Joe, I wanted fresh, new, hot off the presses cartoons.
Yeah. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. high adventure that's beyond compare. These are the gummy
Sounds like
bears.
something a young Andrew watched.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never heard of them. On Channel 13, I love this. It must be a rerun of an old Rockford Files. Now, that is literally something Vives and I watch a lot of, and it is a legitimately good show. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think I would like Quincy M.E. because, yes, it's from that era, but I just don't think... I just, my guess is it's not great television. You know, I really think Rockford is a good television show. If anybody kind of likes that era, and listen to this description of this episode of Rockford Files, a team of private investigators, Isaac Hayes and Louis Gossett Jr. competes with Rockford for a finder's fee on a missing heir. Now, the thing is, Rockford Files does not usually do stunt casting, so I have not seen this one before, but if that ever shows up in my rotation, I'll be excited. On Channel 22, you had She-Ra. And on Channel 28, you had 3-2-1 Contact. I could see you getting
another
down
one.
with
We
some
would
of that.
roll right into 3-2-1 Contact.
Yep.
It's the moment. It's the reason, or it's the moment when everything happens. Contact. I believe Contact. The sub show that was woven into Contact was the Bloodhound Gang. That's
I
whenever
remember that.
there's trouble, we're there
that's
on the
a
double.
great song. You guys would play that all the time on the radio.
Yeah,
huh?
when we would do like mystery solvers, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely Channel 13 said, like, we're going to counter program. These other stations are playing, they're playing cartoons, they're playing Donahue. We're going with old people solving murders. We're not that
he wasn't
James
old.
Rockford is
Yeah,
that old.
yeah.
He's definitely younger than us in the Rockford
Yeah.
Files, presumably, right?
Yeah.
And a handsome devil.
Oh, my God. And charisma. The thing is, he's handsome as hell, but he really, really has charisma. James Garner. That's why I started watching it, because Vives and I were visiting Cleveland like years and years ago, and my Aunt Louise was like talking about James Garner. I think somebody as a joke got her like a cutout of James Garner, and it wasn't Gunsmoke. What was his cowboy show before the Rockford Files?
I'm actually on his Wikipedia page right now, so let me scroll down. He's from the era where he also had a lot of military service. Maverick. So half of his page is all the stuff he did before he ever even tried to get in front of a camera.
Really? Yeah. So Maverick was early 57 to 62. And then you're right, he is relatively old, coming back in 1974 for the Rockford Files. But man, he can get it. He can certainly get it. Now,
absolute snack.
I don't know how far we want to go on this, but I'll give you... actually, why don't you pick another time slot? Do you want to see anything much later in the evening? Do you want to stick with afternoon programming? Maybe we can do one more time slot and then wrap
I don't think
this
I
up.
was watching that. Well, let's do 8 p.m. for funsies. I don't think I was watching TV. A Friday night at 8 p.m., I would have been doing one of three things. I would have either been with my family, which would mean we're probably not watching TV because it's fresh. I would have been at playing in a basketball game somewhere, doing some kind of sport thing, or I would be with Peter and we would have rented movies at Shop and Save. So none of those would have led to we're watching the 8 p.m. programming, but I'm curious what it was.
So on Channel 2 at 8 p.m., and that's the CBC station out of Vancouver, there's something called Rock and Roll. Sounds like something you'd be into. Channel 4 is just movie, and the movie is The Spirit, 1987. Sam Jones, small-town police officer Denny Colt, patrols the big city as masked crime fighter The Spirit.
That you say is a cult of personality? Just going to keep at that joke until it catches on. That's my Colt Emerson
He
joke
will end up being a Mariner, certainly. On Channel 5, you have Stingray. I assume that was a TV show. A TV star, Jeff Conway, whose life has been threatened, hires Stingray to find out why. That sounds like another kind of...
Stingray a person or a vehicle?
Sounds like... it sounds
I
like
was
it's
wondering if this is
private
like
investigator.
a Knight Rider knockoff.
Yeah, let me see her Stingray TV show. It sounds like it's a PI show or something, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow. Look at the... I don't know if you're Googling this, too. It says 1985 TV series. It's very, like, neon... sexy Stingray American drama series.
Wow. So he does have a Stingray, by the way.
Yeah, that would make sense. He drives around a Corvette Stingray, a 65.
There was a show on when I was a kid that was on around this time, slot, called Jake and the Fat Man.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I always thought that was the craziest name for a show. And I always was like, can you imagine when they were casting and they were like, we have good news and bad news.
Yeah.
We've cast you. You're not Jake.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how tough was that to be the not Jake in that?
How about Channel 7? This is going to be right up your alley, Luke. A Seafair special. So Channel 7 is Cairo television.
You might have even played that on the show. No, that was in California, right?
Oh, yeah, that was something I found on a VHS tape. It says a recap of the week's Seafair events set the stage for the upcoming Seafair parade. So this is a Friday night, so the parade's probably on Sunday. Is that right?
Probably on Saturday maybe,
Okay.
because the Hydros would be on Sunday.
Okay. That was the big event, right?
Everything was just so much better.
Yeah, no.
Well, not everything.
I mean, that's why you're trying to make it great again, right? Isn't that your whole...
I'm just telling you.
Isn't that your whole
we
thing?
need to celebrate the 250th of this country with a great American fair.
You got Washington Week in Review on Channel 9, so that's PBS. It's a PBS Week in Review thing.
I would love... Oh, Washington as in the state of Washington, do you think?
I think so. Oh, no, maybe not. No, you're probably right. Could this be like programming out of D.C.?
I don't know, but it would be. I would love it if it was state of Washington. I would love to have known who those people were because they're probably people that I was becoming vaguely aware of, at the time, like local pundits and the like. I had this extremely weird thought the other day, which allow me to, if I can, I'll try to quickly expand and then contract this, which is there is a guy named Jeremy Cahill, and he is one of the new Saturday Night Live performers. He's part of like one of the newer cast members. And one of his characters that he does that is really caught on is he does a Tucker Carlson. And it's actually pretty good. He does it like during Weekend Update. And what's funny is I've seen more than one young person who's like, they go, is anyone else just walking around just saying this? Like, and then they're doing their like impression of Jeremy Cahill doing his Tucker Carlson. And what strikes me is that these people, and again, you never know with someone, but the people that are like obsessed with his Tucker Carlson character don't strike me as people who actually know who Tucker Carlson is. Like they're not politicos. They're not the blood and soil guys from Charlottesville. You know what I mean? They're like, and it reminds me of times where I loved a Saturday Night Live sketch about someone I had no prior context for, like when they did the McLaughlin group from PBS. So it would be I think Dana Carvey maybe as McLaughlin, and he'd be like Jack Germond, Eleanor Clift, and he would be doing like going around the horn with these people, and I would be laughing my ass off. And I did not know any of the source material of any of the people who were being parodied. I just loved it.
I loved Al Franken doing a parody of Senator Paul Simon. I want to say I had no idea who Senator Paul Simon was, but I didn't know who Al Franken was. When I was a kid,
Weird
I was like,
that we had a Paul Simon
why
singer.
I wear the bow tie.
Yeah,
and I was
right.
like, oh, you're killing it. You're absolutely killing it. I had no idea who any of these people were.
We had a Paul Simon the singer.
Yeah.
We had a Paul Simon the senator, and I believe we had a Paul Tsongas.
We did have a Paul Tsongas. Yeah, wasn't he from Minnesota?
Probably Paul Wellstone was from Minnesota.
I might be confusing my Pauls, yeah.
But we had two Simons and a Tsongas.
Two Simons
now
and a Tsongas.
That's a show title that's going to... Forget the picture of Gigi on the roof. That's going to get the clicks, my friends.
All right, I'll finish up the 8 p.m. time slot, and then we'll get out of here, or at least out of this segment that I feel like I've trapped you in. Let's see here. Channel 11, which again is KSTW out of Tacoma, you have To Catch a Thief, the movie, the 1955 movie with Cary Grant.
Because they weren't a network. That's the thing. They were not a network affiliate.
No, they're an
so they didn't have like access to if the other stations would be putting on their programming that had been created by their network. That KSTW, they had to kind of like go rogue on just like. They were kind of on weird stuff that they could just kind of cobble together.
Same with Channel 12 out of Bellingham, which was showing the Magnificent Seven Ride, 1972, featuring Lee Van Cleef. You got to love some Lee Van Cleef. 5 ex-convicts team up with a pair of lawmen to save the citizens of a town besieged by outlaws. Classic cowboy movie. Channel 13, you have Elvis Comeback 68. Elvis jams with musicians from the early part of his career and sings such hits as Hound Dog, Heartbreak Hotel, Don't Be Cruel, and Jailhouse Rock.
I mean, So we've established this is in 1987.
Yeah, 87, yep, Friday night.
And this is the Elvis special is 68.
Yeah, so it's 19
They're
years
just like,
earlier.
here is some of Elvis's most recent work as of 9 years ago.
Yeah, right. No, his earliest work, right? It
So
says
they were,
from the early
well, what I
part of
mean
his
is,
career.
I
Yeah.
guess, I was joking about by that time, well, I guess had he passed away yet? But again, that's Channel 13. Think about what Channel 13 is doing. They're doing Quincy. They're doing Elvis live from 1968. They were clearly at that time, again, maybe Fox didn't have enough programming up and running or something, but it sounds like they were definitely trying to appeal to the older demo.
Yeah, so Elvis had died 10 years before this aired. He died in 1977. And that is a little confusing because this description is wrong. I sort of corrected you just based on the text here, but it says from the early part of his career, but I see, in 68, he's older but looking back and he's jamming on some of his older material. I see what's happening there. That makes a little bit more sense.
So he's not doing Suspicious Minds. He's doing Hound Dog.
He's doing Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel as Elvis in 1968. Okay. On Channel 22, which is the Seattle Independent Station, KTZZ, is that right? Yeah. You got Perry Mason. Perry investigates after a beautiful jewel thief is found murdered. And then on Channel 28, which again is PBS out of Tacoma, I believe, it says Shoestring is playing. Do you know a PBS show called Shoestring?
Sure didn't.
Okay, Eddie investigates a suicide of a bankrupt businessman who is tricked by a computer.
Oh, my goodness. We use computers to help people.
Not hurt people. That's Slim Goodbody, I think. Or no.
It's a guy with all of his organs painted onto his suit.
I play this drop sometime that says, I will hope there is somebody who also wore a weird outfit like that who I used to confuse with Slim
We actually did a
Goodbody.
fairly deep Slim Goodbody dive like a few months ago, if you can believe that, on this very program.
Yes, I do. Oh, yeah, it was Slim Goodbody. I was right about
Well, that should take care of those two evil geniuses for a while. I hope that they've learned their lessons, that computers are built by people, for people, to help people, not to control us.
I got to say, there's some people in Silicon Valley who should hear that right about now.
Yeah, exactly. Take that, Peter Thiel.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
Well, Andrew, I was loud wrong yesterday on the program, and I should have known, because the more confident I am ever in myself, the more likely it is that I am just fully wrong. And I was, in this case, the story of NPR posting on its website and then taking down an announcement of Samuel Alito retiring was kind of making the news yesterday, and I said, let me just save everybody, let me save everybody some time. I know all about this news business, and we in this news business have written these articles in advance about people who might pass away or might step down from powerful positions, so that when they do, you can just update a few details and fire it out there. And that's exactly what happened today. Somebody mispublished the wrong Nina Totenberg story, and that's all there is to see here. And she doesn't have to apologize to anyone. And in fact, this one was on Nina.
Yeah, I got to say, though, and you and I were both like in a text chain yesterday, scrambling to be the first in line to admit to being wrong about this, because I honestly, before you and I even talked about it, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, this is a pre-written piece, an obit for not for somebody's life, but for their career, and somebody misfired it.
Now, can I play you a little bit of this quick conversation they had on ATC yesterday?
I haven't heard it. Yeah.
So this is kind of they've been talking about the Supreme Court, because of course it also happens to be a very active time for them. But they bring Nina Totenberg, and really what they do is they bring in this guy, Thomas Evans, who's the editor-in-chief. Now, my big takeaway from this is somebody needed to give Thomas Evans some goddamn celery juice, because the guy is dying on air. He's got that when you get nervous and your mouth dries out and whatever, but that's not the main point. Here is Nina Totenberg, the legend in my mind still, basically explaining kind of what happened.
Totenberg joins me live now, along with NPR's editor-in-chief, Thomas Evans. Hi to both of you.
Hi.
We're here because we want to take some time to acknowledge an error we made today. We reported that Justice Samuel Alito is retiring. He's not. Nina, tell us what happened.
Well, we didn't. I did to my boss, and I scared everybody half to death for about 5 minutes, and it's entirely on me. It's not anybody else's fault. And I've written to Justice Alito to apologize, and I thought I would read you most of this letter because it tells you everything.
Okay.
Dear Justice Alito, there are no words to adequately apologize for today's error in reporting your retirement. It was entirely my fault. I rushed out of the courtroom after the opinion announcements, and when I realized that the usual rush of folks after a few minutes had not happened, I asked somebody what was going on inside, to which the answer was retirement announcements. I didn't hear the S on announcements and assumed something no reporter should ever do, that you were retiring. It was the worst professional mistake of my more than 50 years in journalism. I could go on, but I don't know what else to say except that I am so sorry, and I am eternally. This was a rookie mistake.
Have you heard back from the justice?
No, but I didn't expect to hear back from him, and it's my mistake. We in the press corps always want people to own up to their mistakes, and they most of the time don't.
Right.
So I'm not going to do that. This is on me and only me.
I appreciate you talking to us about it. Tommy, I'm going to bring you in as well because I'm going to slightly disagree with Nina just a little bit. We have systems in place to make sure a mistake like this doesn't make it to air. This doesn't entirely land on one person. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, and Nina was incredibly gracious there, but the truth is, it's as editor-in-chief, I feel ultimate responsibility for anything that NPR is reporting. We do have systems in place. We are trying to be a nimble news organization during breaking news and still be correct at all times, and this is something that we should learn from and go back and figure out where we could do better and be better. But I think most importantly, we need to be honest with our audience and honest with the listeners, that when we make a mistake, we own up to it and we own it, like Nina did, like I think we all are. And I think we will be a better news organization for it.
But I was the only person at the court. And I've seen people make big mistakes because they weren't sitting in the courtroom. And I knew we had a special, and I left early, and that is also on me. You should never leave these people early. I mean, this was...
So there you go. I mean, it's kind of right there. She thought that somebody said retirement announcement, and I guess assumed it was Alito.
I mean, there's a million assumptions there. I want to hear more about why she just jumped to that specific
Why
conclusion.
Alito of all of the justices? I don't think he's even the oldest, is he? Or, and that's, I mean, and so I guess she called back to HQ and said, Alito is retiring, and then somebody hit publish on it.
I mean, it just shocks me if somebody, and again, I'm not trying to pile on. I mean, she clearly is throwing herself on her sword there, as well she should, by the way.
Which I actually found
I
appreciate.
I do too, but it is just I still want to know, you're a responsible journalist. I truly think she is. Now, she's been doing this for so long that maybe she just sort of is able to maybe relax some of her double, triple, quadruple checking on things. But for such a huge headline, it doesn't make sense to me that she's phoning in this story, just saying, hit go on that. Here are the details. You didn't get one secondary source on this? You didn't get any quote like that? You just overheard somebody say retirement announcements?
I know, right?
There's still some stuff missing here.
Well, and it's also one of those things where if it's anyone who is not as revered as Nina Totenberg, then there is probably more double checking. I mean, her word is sort of the law when it comes to all things Supreme Court. And so if it had been a Cub reporter or somebody who was more new to the game, they probably would have said, well, how do you know that? What's the, what's the reporting on this? But she's Nina Totenberg. So she calls you and says, type this up or whatever. And you just do.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's so, I mean, again, I as a frequent mistake maker and as a frequent need to apologizer, I actually really like the apology from her. She is not being coy. She is not trying to parse the language, really. She's trying to make sure that nobody else is, sort of catching some of the flack for this, or that this mistake is being spread across multiple people. She's really trying to own it. And again, as a person who, my whole kind of move in life is to mess up a lot, but then also apologize a lot. I find her apology actually very charming.
No, and I appreciate the fact she's not being defensive or saying, well, I feel like I can also associate with that. I feel like I would do this. I think I would do the same thing. Just be like, oh my God, there's no excuse for this. And I'm glad she is because I guess I paused there because I'm also thinking about how the editor-in-chief says, we're going to be stronger for this, which is sort of he's also falling on his sword too, but there's that was the one thing that I cringed at a little bit, sort of. I know you got to say stuff like that, but it's kind of like, oh, this is an improvement opportunity sort of attitude that I kind of cringe at a little bit. Right, exactly. Hey, I have a question for you. I also got distracted here, and I'm sorry to take this back to a segment that you just escaped. But what is the Seattle comedy show that preceded
Almost Live?
Yeah, Almost Live. When did that start? Because that did not air in 1987. They went right into Saturday Night Live at 11:30.
On a Saturday night.
Yeah, when did almost? Oh, this is a Friday night. They were showing a rerun of Saturday Night on a Friday night.
Is it? I don't know about that.
Okay. Anyway, okay.
It's not Friday Night Videos or something.
No. Okay. Sorry. I guess I'm just confusing things.
But
For some
I also.
reason, but
I can't tell you exactly when Almost Live started, but my guess would be it would have been running in '87 because I remember Peter and I making just absolutely horrendously bad videos that were we just parodies. Not even parodies. We would just try to reenact their videos, and we would do it very poorly.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing here, and I interrupted for no good reason because it actually says the show is called Saturday Night with host Richard Dreyfuss. That's something different.
That was, I think that Saturday Night show was I think Michael Richards was on it, aka Kramer.
Really?
And it might have even had Larry David on it.
Really?
That was this kind of weird show that was not Saturday Night Live, but that was kind of if I remember right, if I'm thinking of the right thing, it had this kind of had this cast of people that eventually, I don't know if it was a sketch comedy show or what exactly it was, but I know there was some kind of a show called Saturday Night that's actually sort of spit out a few people who became notable in later years.
It's incredibly difficult to find any information about it because you type in Saturday Night TV show. What do you think pops up? Nothing but Smurfs. No, obviously the internet. The internet only thinks I'm looking for Saturday Night Live information, not a show called Saturday Night. Didn't they know in 1987 that would be terrible SEO?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. Let's see. Are you sure? Okay, well, there was a show also called Fridays, maybe? Of course, the AI, this is exactly the wrong question for AI overview because they're going, Michael Richards never starred in NBC's Saturday Night Live. Now, there was a show called Fridays, Andrew. I'm sorry, this is so confusing.
Something else. Okay.
The Fridays years. Long before their Seinfeld days, Michael Richards and Larry David worked together on Fridays, a late-night sketch show that's best remembered for Richards' wildly physical characters like Battle Boy.
Oh, my God. And then they would go on to... And so he
sorry,
cast
I got
them in
confused
Seinfeld,
there. You can kind of see why, though, because it's called Fridays.
That's really interesting, though, that they worked together on that, and then he brought him up through into Seinfeld. Wow.
The program was ABC's attempt to duplicate the success of Saturday Night Live, which at the time was in its 5th season. The show featured many recurring characters and sketches, short films, and parody news segments called Friday Edition.
Now,
Rich Hall on it.
Is yours the fact that you knew this?
Well, I was wrong on my day of the week.
Yeah, but you did have you have some memory of this in some sort. Do you know this from back in the day, or do you know this from hearing about this later on as an adult?
I only know it from hearing about it and maybe seeing clips of a very young Larry David. As Larry David's fame has grown, then people are more interested in his, kind of earlier years. Have you seen that new show that he's in? By the way, they're promoting it on HBO. It actually looks pretty funny.
I've seen the tile for it, but I thought it was maybe a documentary or something. It's actually a show.
My sense is it's kind of Curb Your Enthusiasm set in the colonial era.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's the entire. Maybe he's just popping up in different points in history. The thing that when I was watching HBO, I think it was on HBO, the preview they gave me was it was kind of like a constitutional convention a la, whenever that would have been, the 1700s or something. But of course it's Larry David is being Larry David with all these dudes in wigs.
I see. Yes, they're covering a lot of ground. It's partially a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, Luke. It is Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness. Now,
There
I've
you
seen
go.
this. When I turn on HBO, I see it being served up to me, but I just thought with a name like that, I thought this was going to be like a retrospective of Larry David's life or something like that. But it says it's a sketch comedy series produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground Productions, BT
Love
dub.
to see it.
That's right. Did they partner with Steve Stringbean for this one is what I want to know.
Unclear. I can tell you that one of the guest stars on season 2 of Fridays was Bob Balaban.
Oh, I love that. That's my double B. That's what
Yeah.
You know what I'm doing?
I have a question for
Yes,
you,
yes,
Andrew.
yes,
Last
yes.
night I was trying to fall asleep and I was doing your system, and I had some real doozies. What are you doing with I?
You skip I. You spend
Okay.
about a year of your life
All right.
trying
well,
to
night
figure
one,
or
no
wait,
success.
Wait, hold on. I think somebody might have there are about I think 4 letters that you have to skip, and I think I might be one of them. Although somebody might
X is one of
yeah,
them.
I think Y is probably one of them
it was
as
a hard
well.
way. Why?
Where are you? So how did you do though? Were you borrowing?
Well, I did
a lot
every
of
other
mine?
one. I just
Yeah.
couldn't do Y.
Really? Yeah, and you got all the way to the end of the alphabet.
No, I'm
before-
sorry.
yeah.
Yes, I did. Although here's
Oh,
what I
that's
was doing.
not working.
I was kind of playing on easy mode. It wasn't just movie stars. It was any famous person. I was allowing myself
with double letter initials.
So like, that really widened it for me
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
As far as maybe next time I do it, I'll stick strictly to the movie stars like you do. But I was on I. I was like, what? And I was literally thinking of you last time. I was like, what in the hell is he doing with I?
I think
I was like,
sent me an
Ivan, Ira.
Yeah.
I was like Isaac. All the I names. Isabella. It's like nobody, but
No.
nobody goes I first name, I last name.
And you got to be careful with this game because it'll put you to sleep because it kind of puts your mind into a different place. But if you get really frustrated, it doesn't put you to sleep. You just get really frustrated and you start kicking your legs under the covers. I have changed this to, and this would be too easy for you, but I am so bad at knowing names and knowing baseball and not having a history of baseball watching that lately what I've been doing, to the degree that I have been doing this at all, is just trying to think of any baseball player, not double letters, just any baseball player with like a last name that goes through the alphabet, starting with like Acuna Jr., right?
I see. So alphabetizing them.
Just or you could start with Altuve, and then Benintendi is who I go for B.
Nice.
Is it Andrew Benintendi? I'm probably
Yeah,
saying that
yeah.
wrong, but I know who
No,
I'm
you're saying
talking
exactly
about.
right.
And then
Do they have to be actively playing?
No, I'm opening the doors wide because I still get stuck on
Roger
these.
Clemens.
Clemens is who I went with, and then because I know that I have that we have Colt Emerson. So like once you get into
There you go.
but what do I
about
do
your
for
D?
D though? What about my D?
Alvin Davis.
There you go.
Rookie
we'll
of the
do
year,
Alvin
Seattle first
Davis.
baseman.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you can
And if
play
you
around
need
with
to
that
do a
one.
double B, you could do Bobby Bonilla, Andrew, and a happy Bobby Bonilla Day to all who celebrate. Do you know about this?
Mr. Bob.
People were really on
know.
our case about the origins of that. Okay, we get it. It was the monkeys.
But
Everybody
it was
calm down.
sampled by Del the Homo sapien, and that's the version that
yes.
we know. Like,
of course.
yeah.
Of course.
Is today the day? This is the day that they have to pay out Bobby Bonilla.
Today is
or
year 16 of the Mets paying Bobby Bonilla another $1.19
That's
million.
not over yet. When does it end?
For the 16th straight year, the Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla $1.19 million signing bonus due to one of the most bizarre deals in sports history. After, let's see here, after Bonilla, now 63, hit just 160 across 60 games for the Mets in 1999, the team decided to buy out his deal in January of 2000 and agreed to defer the remaining $5.9 million sum with 8% interest spread from 2011 to 2035.
2035.
He's getting this until 2035.
Or his estate. I don't know how old he is.
The Mets have now paid Bobby Bonilla more than $19 million since 2011. The total payout will be roughly $29.83, so $30 million. So instead of paying him the $6 million that they owed him, they decided to defer it and pay $30 million over the course of all these years. This is, of course, for people that don't follow baseball, a particular thumb in the eye because the Mets have had some pretty rough seasons and are in the midst of another one. So the idea that as as they have a hugely high payroll. They've had really, really bad return on those investments, and they're also still kicking Bobby Bonilla money.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because they really spent this year. You know what I mean? It kind of bums me out. I mean, listen, I'm not advocating for like more of like what the Dodgers are doing, which is just basically buying the game, but the Mets, who have such a, kind of just sort of troubled past, you would think as the fan base, you're like, finally, you're going to actually spend. You're going to get us out of this rut. But it goes to show you that sometimes spending doesn't work. Like you still
when your
have to click
owner
your
is
way.
a hedge fund operator who also is pursuing a job as a professional DJ, Steve Cohen. He's just got too many irons in the fire.
Really? He's DJing?
He's DJing, and apparently he's pretty good.
Really?
Even though he made billions of dollars in his investment, he's a Wall Street guy who loves DJ. Imagine Steve Cohen, billionaire Wall Street guy. He's exactly how you imagine him looking, except he's on the ones and twos sometimes.
I want to know how you feel about something. I'm closing all the tabs that I had open from today's show because,
Let's close the tabs that close.
Let's close the tabs that close. You and I are talking about something. I'll Google this, Google that, or whatever. That's how we ended up with a lot of the stuff we talked about today. One of the things I Googled, and I don't know exactly why, I just typed in Widow's Bay while we were talking about it, and I'm noticing some sort of a kind of synergistic search result thing that HBO must have paid for. When you type Widow's Bay into Google, actually, can you just do it? Type in Widow's Bay into Google.
Also, really quickly,
I
think I was totally wrong about Steve Cohen being a DJ. There's some other owner of a New York team, I think, who likes DJing, but it's not the New York Mets owner, Steve Cohen. So,
well, he might. It might just not be a big deal, so it's not in his Wikipedia page. He might just be doing it in his basement.
So, am I Googling? He's a boy from the basement.
Just Google Widow's Bay. Just Google Widow's Bay. Like, I'm interested in this TV show I've heard about. Google Widow's Bay. Tell me what you see at the top.
Well, I see. You mean, did you mean?
Yes.
You mean the correction? Did you mean the next Martha's Vineyard and definitely not Curse?
So clearly HBO has paid Google
That's a sponsored result.
to have a sponsored Did You Mean? Because, if you misspell Bobby Bonilla as I did, it'll be like, do you mean this Bobby Bonilla? They have a sponsored Did You Mean the next Martha's Vineyard and definitely not Curse. And then when you click on it, I guess it just takes you to more Google. Yeah, interesting. I assume that's paid for. Who knows?
Very, very clever. And again, it has our Jeff Hiller guy in. I don't know how much he's in it. But,
he's one of the main. He's one of the main. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he's like one of the kind of main supporting characters in The Office. So you see him at least once an episode. And speaking of, he gets to DJ in one episode too, which is a lot
like
of
Steve
fun.
Cohen.
Exactly.
I got to figure out
Steve
who.
Cohen.
You know what? I think there might be a different Steve Cohen who's not even associated with the Mets, but is there's a Wall Street billionaire who really likes to DJ and is actually supposedly pretty decent at it, and is not the guy who owns the Mets, but is a different guy who I confused with him. I'll figure that out.
And you haven't figured that.
I'll report that tomorrow.
Is it David Solomon? Why Wall Street is buzzing again about David Solomon's comeback as a DJ? Washington Post.
Maybe.
Why Wall Street is buzzing again about David Solomon's DJ side gig. This was posted in May of 2026.
Maybe it's been David Solomon the whole time.
Maybe
he's the Goldman Sachs guy. Yes.
Okay,
I'm looking at him now. When I say David Solomon from Goldman Sachs, he's exactly what you think he looks like, but he also DJs.
I'm looking at this
just
now.
Take back everything I said about Steve Cohen and just apply it to David Solomon.
Just play your air horn and get us out of here.
Absolutely.
That's all we needed.
All right. It's freaking freezing in here, by the way. I'm like losing circulation in my hands.
Hey, you know what? In all seriousness, enjoy your ride with the dogs today. I have a feeling you're gonna be a little sad to come home to a dogless house.
I've grown accustomed to their faces around here. So, all right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio for all of you. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Welcome to July. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.